Transforming personal identification into a digital chip embedded in the arm is one of the things that the future has in store. This digitalization has already begun by storing personal information on large databases. Some technologies that are already in place are Queensland driver's licenses, which already contain a passive embedded integrated circuit on them, which store all the basic information of the license holder. Another identification service which currently uses similar technology is Australian e-passports. The e-passports carry an embedded microchip containing the digitized image and the personal information of the passport holder. One of the main technologies which may be integrated into the human body are passive RFID chips, which stands for radio frequency identification. Passive RFID chips are a fairly simple device that consists of a coil of wire and hermetically sealed microchips within a small glass capsule. It uses wireless electromagnetic field to power the chip and transfer data. The capsule can then be injected under the skin in the body of the user. This implantable chip will be able to store all kinds of information about the consumer. This digitalization of personal identification will improve upon the current system in a number of ways. Firstly, you'll never be able to lose your ID. It's also a lot harder to get a fake ID, which means better security. The new ID system is also a lot faster and more efficient because it doesn't take as long to scan your arm. Possible downsides might include small establishments not having facilities to scan ID. For example, a pub in a small country town might not be able to verify a person's age if the only ID the person has is a chip, since they don't have the technology to scan it. People might also have possible objections to having chips in the arms. Consumers will opt for the chip to be surgically implanted, and there will be the possibility to have the chips given to children at birth. Consumers will scan their chips in situations which require identification, such as going to the pub or travelling overseas. Consumer interaction with hardware will be kept to a minimum to keep it simple and convenient. Additional benefits that may occur in the future might include being able to store personal bank information on the chip. It might also be able to be used as car keys, which would mean no need for a wallet at all. You could just use the chip for everything. Maybe we wouldn't even need a physical phone one day. Of course, to implement all this, they would need to mass produce RFID chips for all the consumers. Scanners would also require mass production, some which may possibly be bigger for scanning large amounts of people entering an area. They would also have to train lots of people on how to surgically implant chips, or else develop technology to do so. Finally, they would have to update the births, deaths, and marriages records into a digital database to be able to work with the new chips. The perceived ease of use of integrated microchip technology inside the human's body would be accepted by the users because the system would be free from effort. The advantage of having all of an individual's personal identification in a combined system using microchip technology is the ease of use which the system operates on. An example of how easy it is to use this technology is international travel. Currently, to travel to places such as the US, people being processed through immigration must have their fingerprint scanned, photo taken, and passport scanned. This system is cumbersome to use. With embedded microchip technology, all the information of the individual could be stored on the chip or linked to a database, where all the individual has to do is scan their hand and be checked by the immigration officer, allowing for an easy-to-use and safe system, thus contributing to the perceived ease of use of the technology acceptance model.
Before the digital transformation, identification was managed through paper trails, and in order for an individual to verify their ID, they must carry physical mediums such as cards or papers. With embedded digital ID, people would be swiping their arms instead of having to rummage through their wallets. Before, there was also a chance to lose your ID or have it stolen. Now it is virtually impossible to steal. Additionally, identity fraud will be greatly reduced as it is harder to gain access to the information stored on the government systems. The key differences from this change will be having a chip in your arm instead of in your wallet or pocket, a scanner in establishments that require proof of age, no more need for paper copies of an individual's ID, and identification will no longer be managed by the user. The positive and negatives of the implementation of this technology are, chips are more secure, but individuals may be uncomfortable with having an implanted chip. Fake IDs will be harder to obtain, however, establishments will need to incorporate new systems. A loss of power would affect the usability of the chips, and malfunctioning chips would be a hassle to replace. Users may also dislike the idea of specific businesses or government agencies having access to their personal information. Chips would also need to be surgically installed, which could be an arduous process. Some of the groups of people affected by the implementation of this technology would be adopters, who would likely be modeled by the diffusion of innovation theory. They would quickly and easily integrate into the new system given their acceptance and willingness to adapt to the new technologies though. Opponents would follow the opposite spectrum of the diffusion of innovation, being late to adapt and possibly resist the implementation of the new technology for a number of reasons, be they religious, conspiracy theories, or culturally. People who work on identification would also need to learn new skills to stay in their profession, or get completely phased out of their jobs due to redundancy. Some of the businesses that may be affected by the implementation of this new technology are the Department of Births, Deaths and Marriages, which may get completely phased out, emergency services, banks, bars, taverns, and anywhere that age restrictions apply, as well as airport security and all other forms of security. The future implications of a digitalized identification would be that systems need to be set up in order to easily communicate with one another. Systems that store the large amounts of data would also have to be carefully constructed and maintained. Reliance on a singular ID technology would also lead to further integration, such as a monetary system. Replacing coins, notes and cards, payment methods would simply result in swiping your ID. Accessing your smartphone could also be done simply with proximity to your ID. Simply holding your phone could unlock it. However, the longer the system is implemented for, the longer hackers and programmers will have to abuse, break, corrupt, and work around the system to their advantage. Reliance on a wireless network could also result in issues if service is disrupted by weather, repairs, or maintenance. Age restrictions will be easier to apply to all forms of media, such as websites, television, or specific content on such mediums. Signatures could be replaced by users' unique IDs, and schools and businesses could be further protected from intruders or trespassers through checking identification. Crider's law relates to the amount of data being stored on a hard drive. The chip revolves around storing the user's personal information on the chip. In order to do this, the chip must be able to hold lots of data. This relates to Crider's law. With one theory relating on how to use it, there needs to be one on how it works, and thus Crider's law. No one theory relates to data storage, and thus Crider's law was chosen. In summary, embedded RFID chips will be a success due to the convenience and security it provides over current systems. Digitalizing ID will revolutionize the efficiency and functionality of modern society. References.